Let's say the moment you see that troll's message, right? It's a bullying message and it triggers a certain reaction in you, and you need to know it in the present moment. You need to know it there and then that, oh, I'm having this reaction. And you observe yourself. Yeah.
I call it the second baddie of social media.
Yeah.
Right? Trolls, haters. Right? A lot of people out there, right? I remember when I put out a video, a positive video, telling people, hey, pressure produces power. It's okay to have pressure.
Right.
And then I get people questioning, is this guy a ching chong? Is he or is the CEO of Know It All or something like that? That was like really a lot of negative comments. I mean, and of course there are positive comments, but you know how it is. We tend to focus on that little dust.
We are wired to do that, actually.
Yeah, why? Why are we wired to focus on the bad? Like, on an entire week, there could be 10 things that happened that were good that happened. But that one thing that was bad, that was the only thing we focus on. Why?
There is this author called Rick Hansen. So he wrote this book called The Buddha's Brain. And he has this analogy for how the brain is wired. And he says that when it comes to positive, pleasant experiences, the mind is like Teflon. You know Teflon? We coat it on non-stick pans, so everything just slides off, right?
Yeah.
So positive things happen to us and we just we forget it or we don't notice it at all. But when it comes to negative experiences, our mind is like Velcro. It just sticks.
Such an amazing analogy.
It is. And it goes back to, evolutionarily speaking, we are wired to look out for dangers or threats, right? So we tend to focus more just so that we can survive. So we can see it as, a survival. But the mind doesn't differentiate between a tiger that jumps out at us and a nasty comment that doesn't really have to do anything.
So true.
Right?
Yes.
So being able to understand this and being able to practice, again, non-judgmental awareness, is a good thing. So just seeing a comment as a comment, words as words, and being able to keep revisiting those 3 questions.
Oh, so we can practice the same thing as well.
Absolutely.
So number 1, we need to understand is we are wired to remember the bad stuff more.
Yes.
Right? So it doesn't mean that the bad stuff is that big.
We tend to magnify them so that we can survive better, right? We run away or we fight it or something. That's the classic fight, flight, freeze kind of response.
See.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say, for example, 10 things. So I got 10 positive comments, but 1 really negative comment. So I'll look at that comment and then I'll ask the same 3 questions.
Try it.
First one is it true?
So they called you what? A CEO of Know It All.
Yeah.
Right? So is it true?
Well, he's right. I'm not a CEO of Know It All, and that was not the intention of me wanting to be a CEO of Know It All. So it's not true. It's right. Number 2, does it help? Is it helpful?
Is it helpful? So you can think of, you can think of it from your perspective or the troll's perspective, right? So from your own perspective, if you're affected by it, right? And if you're feeling badly about yourself right now, you may want to ask yourself, is this helpful?
Is this emotion that I'm feeling right now helpful? Obviously not. It's ruining my day, right? And then the last question would be, is it necessary? So is it necessary for me to let it ruin my day?
Yes.
And then I would say, of course not. And then I would think back to my mission or my purpose, like, okay, what's the intention of me creating this video? To help the people that wants to be helped, right? So go where I'm celebrated. Oh, wow, okay, now it seems like all that happens in that one moment, right? In that second. Is that true? Is that what mindfulness is about?
It's always in the moment, and it's always moment by moment, right? Because an experience doesn't just last one moment, it can just keep continuing. So let's say the moment you see that troll's message, right? It's a bullying message and it triggers a certain reaction in you, and you need to know it in the present moment. You need to know it there and then that, oh, I'm having this reaction. And you observe yourself. Yeah. You need to observe yourself in each moment. So for example, you're feeling, let's say name me an emotion that you may feel.
Anxiety.
Anxiety, okay, good question, good. So when you feel anxiety, anxiety can be an emotion, right?
Yeah.
And does anxiety have a feeling in your body?
Yes, there's a heaviness in the chest. Oh, that's an interesting question. No one has asked me that. Like, I just thought an anxiety is anxiety or worry is worry. But yeah, if it's a physical sensation, then I feel a heightened breathing, like shallow breathing a little bit.
Okay.
And then I felt a little bit of pressure in the chest.
Yeah, so there's a
Yeah.
lot going on in the body, but typically we don't notice that because we are in the headspace. And when we are in the headspace and stuck here all the time, anxiety can develop into a lot of ruminative thoughts, right? And you start to ruminate over this troll's comments.
Yeah, that thought.
Am I not good enough? Am I a fraud? Am I an imposter? What am I doing? And it can just go on and on.
Spiral downwards.
Yes, but when we learn to shift our attention to the body level, the physical level, we understand what the body is going through. We understand what the body is trying to tell us. Oh, there is anxiety here. But this anxiety is not me, right? It's not my identity. It is something it is state of body, state of mind that's happening right now. So I learn to observe it without further reacting to what I'm observing. And I just rest with it, just like we're going back to what we discussed at the start of the session.
Acceptance.
Resting with it, acceptance, non-judgmental awareness, and sooner or later, this is going to pass.
I see. Because sometimes, what's very interesting is I will have a good day, and then I will start thinking about, but in 2 weeks' time, 2 days' time, I'm going to deliver a speech that I may not enjoy.
Right.
And then I will just feel a little bit gloomy and I'll feel a bit sad. And I won't say, I'll feel a bit worried, and it affects the whole day. So what you're saying is that then the next time around is to recognize when there's a switch of emotion, like suddenly I feel a certain emotion, anxiety.
You may not suddenly feel the emotion. It may be very subtle. It may build up. It's something that builds up over time. So as we practice mindful awareness of ourselves every day, our awareness gets sharper and sharper. And that's when we're able to notice even the slightest shifts in our moods and emotions. And the earlier that you detect them, the earlier that you notice them, the more unlikely that you will become overwhelmed by them. Because you're addressing them early.
Which is also the reason why we need to practice mindfulness as a habit, like to pay attention to things. Because if we keep paying attention to how we feel, then it becomes a habit.
Yes, it's I would call it a skill more than a habit.
Okay,
right? It's just like you learn to swim. The more you swim, the better you get at it.
That's true.
The better you are able to survive if you were to get dumped in the ocean. So the same with mindful awareness. The more you practice it as a skill, the more easily you will notice these shifts in your internal landscape. In times of stress.
So very cool. So let's say I'm doing my thing and then it's supposed to be a good day, and then I notice that my breathing is getting shallower, I'm getting a little bit feisty, or there's a physical tightness in the chest. So I recognize that, and then that's when I would take note, what was I thinking? A thought that led to that. Is that part of?
So you may not need to analyze your thoughts, right? You may just notice that, I have these negative thoughts coming in.
Yeah.
Right? And you just notice them. Thoughts are thoughts. They don't define you. So if we were to give too much attachment to our thoughts, let's say a thought comes in, I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
Imagine if you were to attach to this thought and believe it and start believing it. Right? It overwhelms you. And that's where the trouble starts.
Yeah, it seems like we get distracted a lot by those random thoughts, like what you say, I'm not good enough, or oh my God, tomorrow you got a speech, you're not prepared, or they're not gonna like that speech. But they are really very random thoughts. And I'm gonna practice the same thing. So number one, is it true? Right? I'll ask myself, wait, is it true, that thought? What if I say that, wait, it's justified? Then I could do something about it, right?
So ask the next question.
Which is it helpful? Is that thought helpful? Then I probably would say no, because right now I'm doing a podcast, right? It's not helpful for me to think about tomorrow's speech because tomorrow is tomorrow, right? And then is it necessary for me to entertain it, right? And obviously not, I want to be present.
Yeah.